And here we are for
back.
issue number 4. Oh. Throw up the 4 Horsemen 4, would you, Mike? We're here for another issue. We had to take a week off. I had some personal things that I needed to take care of.
Mini vacation for a week.
Yep. I would like to, first and foremost, wish my mother a speedy recovery. I know the way things are sometimes, she wound up having a bit of a health problem, and of course I want to wish her a very speedy recovery. But nevertheless, I am your Princess of Weird, Josh Johnson, your host of Comic Book 101, joined by my other host.
I'm a nobody.
He is Michael Stanley of Cosplay in Tampa Bay, and we are your official hosts of Comic Book 101, your weekly installment of your local comic book store brought to you each and every week.
It's been a great week. How was your week?
It's been a week. We'll leave it at that. I mean, as we just heard me wish my mother well wishes and stuff like that. But nevertheless, we're here. We're here to have a great time. We're here to talk about comic books, are we not, Michael?
Yes, we are. Now, some good books this week.
Yes, there were. We're also going to cover some of the things that we meant to cover last week, some of the books that we had brought, everything like that. But one of the first things we got to talk about, it's what's going down tomorrow at Yancey Street Comics.
Yes. So Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor and Paul Mounts from Birds of Prey will be at Yancey Street tomorrow doing autograph signings.
Yep.
They had Chuck Dixon this past weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. I was out doing other shoots for WeBeam TV, but tomorrow's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm highly looking forward to this. As we all know, Harley Quinn is one of my personal favorite characters in all of comic books, and we will be able to go and meet 2 of the creators, not necessarily the creators, but people who are working on Harley Quinn right now.
Did you hear about the Harley Quinn movie?
They wound up changing the name of it.
Yes, after it came out, they're like, oh, it's not doing good. Let's change it from Birds of Prey, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, to Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
I think it's a smart marketing tactic on them, especially where we sit now with that film. That film has already gone through enough of its own problems and stuff like that. It looks like a decent film. One of the things that I noticed about that movie heavily was the fact that a lot of the imagery from this book or movie was taken directly from the comics. A lot of the New 52 stuff with Harley Quinn, some of that roller derby Harley Quinn we get in there. We get to see a lot of different versions of Harley in this new movie. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it.
Hopefully I can make time this week or next week to see it. We got another busy weekend this time. So.
Yep. That we definitely
not
do.
Going to be able to do it this weekend.
I believe it's Sci-Fi Convention for us this weekend.
Sci-Fi
is it?
Bartow, yeah.
Sci-Fi Bartow. That's going to be one heck of a time. Hopefully we can record an episode of Comic Book 101 while we are there. Who knows? We have a lot in plan. Once again, we're going to be there tomorrow night. Hopefully our cameras will be rolling so you guys can see some of the fun that we will be engaging in. Hopefully we can get an interview or two with not just the people of Yancey Street Comics, who are great friends and supporters of the show, but as well as the people who are working, Jimmy and Amanda, who have been working on Harley Quinn and whatnot. But it's time for our good housekeeping segment of the week. Are you ready to clean up a little bit, get some of this housekeeping underway?
Of all the stuff you messed up last time.
It isn't stuff that I necessarily messed up. Stuff that we happen to mess up. Some of our fans may have caught it, but this is where we like to address some of those things so we are all putting everything in nice little boxes and putting them away so we all are on the same page. Which, first thing and foremost, it's not Moog, it's Mogo. Mogo is the living planet that is a Green Lantern. That's right. The whole planet of Mogo is, in fact, a Green Lantern planet. There you see it with its wonderful emblem embedded in the center of the planet, and in the dead center of the planet, meaning in its core, is a Green Lantern ring that it uses to, like any other Green Lantern would. It's an amazing...
everything up.
It's one of those weird things you would think that a Green Lantern planet they would live on, which would be Oa, but no, Mogo is also a living, breathing planet, which... we talked about a little bit in the Emerald Knights movie that was out. Mogo plays a big part in that story, a really amazing story involving a bounty hunter trying to take him out. Another one of the things that we need to address...
Why Wonder Woman was 750 issues, there have been a few other comics that made it that long.
Yes, there have been.
The big Boy Scout Superman.
Yep.
And my favorite Spiderman.
Yep. There have been 3 other heroes. We had mentioned on the show last week or in issue number 3, that we thought 750 comics was a huge milestone. We weren't sure if anybody had reached over 750. We had mentioned maybe, possibly. And as soon as we came into work the next day, John, our bigwig over here, Papa Tech, he wound up having one of these, two of them actually sitting here, Action Comics issue number 1000. There you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. If we go on my tight shot, you'll see it a lot better. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that 1000 issues of Superman. Now, Wonder Woman still has a few more years to go before she reaches 1,000 issues.
So what's funny about that comic, real quick, that weekend we went to the Yancey Street, then you had your wrestling event. I met up with John at Yancey Street and told him, hey, you know, there's autographed comics here that are really affordable. He's like, where? And I showed him. I'm like, here's a Superman one. He's like, it's mine now.
Papa Tech is a huge Superman fan. I am only really a fan of like the Red Sun Superman or Ultraman or a version of Superman that is not.
I'm a fan of any dead Superman.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a fan of the Boy Scout.
Do like Black Lantern Superman as well.
Yeah.
But that's another story for another day. That's in one of our past issues where we talk some about the Black Lanterns. But we're going to continue on talking about more of the Green Lanterns. We had mentioned in our issue number 3 that Alan Scott had a green power ring, and we weren't sure if he was able to make constructs or not because we're not really Alan Scott fans. However, we did find out that Alan Scott was able to make constructs. He did a lot more hand-to-hand fighting as opposed to Hal Jordan in modern continuity, where it's more of using your ring as your abilities and using those powers. But Alan Scott used a lot of fist handcuff, fisticuff fighting and whatnot, old school styles because he's from the golden age. But it was a lot of the things that were introduced in the Alan Scott comic, mainly him able to create constructs, glowing green, being able to fly, that was later adapted into the Hal Jordan version that both me and Michael love to this day. So there's a little bit of a clarification on that one.
Then the Arrow TV show, there were some digital comics that collects 2 sets of them, I believe.
Yeah, we had mentioned that because the Arrow show wound up coming to an end, which I got a bone to pick with you about in a second because I wasn't there for Nerd Talk. We'll do it here on Comic Book 101.
I know exactly why.
We are going to talk a little bit more about this, which is we had mentioned that if you were a fan of Arrow, that there might be other issues or other like comic books strictly based off of the Arrow TV show that you can go out and purchase, and you don't have to purchase them. They're actually digital comics. They do collect them in graphic novel trade paperback form, but you can actually go on your computer and read these exclusive digital comics. The volume 1 of the series covers some extra stories in season 1, and then the second series that we were talking about, season 2.5, which covers the little bit of a gap between season 2, season 3, tries to fill in a little bit of things here and there that they necessarily got the chance to.
Jump between a season.
Which you would know a little bit more about me because I've seen how big on the Arrow show you've been the past few weeks and stuff like that.
It was a good show. I'm happy with it. It ended that night that episode 3 happened. Went home, turned it on, sat in front of TV, wouldn't talk to anybody. I was happy with it. I was very happy with the ending. Everything I wanted finally happened, minus seeing Jon Stewart actually glow.
Which is what I'm going to bring up here, because you, sir, sold me hard on this. You were selling it hard on Nerd Talk. You were like, he's going to do it. He's going to get the green power ring, and he's going to fly out. He got nothing. He
opened a box, and it's glowing, so you know it's...
So does that mean Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta have yellow lantern rings after Pulp Fiction because they had a yellow light on them? No, that was absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. No, that does not count as him as a Green Lantern. It was not in a suit. He didn't even put on a ring. He sat around at a funeral and cried. No, it does not count. I'm sorry.
Hopefully they'll pick him up for the HBO version of Green Lantern.
Hopefully.
That'll be it.
Like we said in issue number 3, above all else, we just want to see more Green Lantern. More Green Lantern TV shows, more Green Lantern movies, more Green Lantern animated series, more Green Lantern comics, action figures, whatever it may be of Green Lantern. I definitely want more.
He did say he's moving to Metropolis, and CW already cleared the new Superman and Lois show.
Will be in Metropolis.
Yeah, which is going to be in Metropolis.
So he might actually
from the whole Arrowverse, because we've already had Tyler, I can't remember his last name, playing Superman. So they're getting their own shows. So hopefully he'll pop up in as a regular.
That's what we can always hope, or even just a guest appearance.
Yeah.
I would like to at least see him in the suit and whatnot, especially after you go through like 8 seasons of Arrow for this big, huge tease, this, that, and the other, and then next thing you know, it's just a glowing green light coming out of a ring box. Like,
they did the same
I wanted
thing
a
with
little bit
Smallville.
more.
Smallville, they did the same thing. You expected him, the final episode, be in the suit, and you get a little tease at the very end, like a fadeaway shot of him flying away.
Yeah, no.
So
I'm
you
sorry,
never got
but
him.
you got to see him return in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Which
Which
I
he
heard
had
a
no
lot of
powers.
people-
He got rid of his powers.
What a lame Superman.
Yeah, he got rid of them so he could settle down. He had kids. And
Become a
Lex
farmer?
went there because Lex was time hopping to kill all Supermans, all Clark Kent's, and he goes to kill him, and he's like, "You're not even worth my time." It's like, you're dead. He's like, but then Clark just popped him right in the face.
Ridiculous.
But it's hard to see that actor play Lex because I'm so used to 2.5 Men.
And his manly men?
Yes.
No. I am sorry. I can't allow that. But you did bring up an interesting question as we continue on with our housekeeping, our last thing in housekeeping this week, which was, how did I feel about grading comics? And then one of our loyal followers on the Facebook and who's been watching all of our shows since we have come back from the hiatus, a man by the name of Bruce Arbs. I'm sorry if I butcher your name, but he wound up also having an interesting question in the same vein, which was, if you are just getting into comics now, and you want to kind of build your collection around value, what would you might have to do to secure some of those things? And I figured the two kind of went hand in hand. Now, I'm going to let you start it off here. How do you feel about grading not just comics, but grading action figures as well? Because that is, since we talk about figures and stuff on the show, might as well bring that into the thing.
I think grading's awesome because a lot of times, like,
for both comics and figures, or just
hell yeah, because figures, especially when you have that, say, Boba Fett prototype, there's only very few in circulation, have that graded in a sealed case so nothing happens to it, ups the value of it.
Not necessarily, because to me, I'm all for grading your comic books. All 100%, even maybe a little bit grading your trading cards, that if you're a trading card collector and whatnot. But when it comes to action figures, no. I'm sorry, because it's literally me, you, and Rob in the back sitting there looking over some of these figures going, oh, that looks like it's a prototype. I've held 2 prototypes in my life, but that feels like a prototype. No, I'm sorry. Like, especially with the toy market the way it sits today, with action figures and grading, I would say no.
It's harder for the toy market today, but when it comes to super rare toys,
even
that
then,
limited
so
run.
I'm a collector of professional wrestling figures, as we'll see me open this one later on. So you're not that big into the collecting world of action figures, I assume, especially wrestling figures. But did you know that currently, as we sit here today, the LJN wrestling figures, the big rubber, like almost dog toy-like ones, do you know how much reproduction is there on those figures as we sit here today? And these are figures that were made in the 1980s, 1990s, more so the 80s. People are reproducing certain aspects of those figures, the accessories, like Big Boss Man's nightstick. Something you wouldn't think of, like, and now somebody goes and puts that online and tries to claim that, oh, this is all 100% legit, original things, even gets the thing graded, and if you can get that past a grader who looks at it very quickly and goes, oh, that's it, without knowing how to tell between repurposed and not.
How to tell.
Believe it or not, it's a lot harder nowadays to tell some of these accessories, especially loose accessories, whether they're not they're the legitimate quantity, the legitimate product
toys,
or not. Especially toys.
I got some expensive pop figures. Heck yeah, if I had a chance to get them graded, put in a sealed case, I definitely would. And when it comes to comic books...
But this is the thing that you're not even bringing up of what makes them so much more valuable, even whether it's comics, whether it's action figures, whether it's trading cards, whatever. Mind you, the only thing that's making it worth more is the fact that you just had to spend money to have another individual encase it in plastic. And make it a sealable plastic thing. Like I said, for certain comic books, I can understand it, especially some older comics, because you'd be able to look at certain ones, like this Action Comics 1000 we have of Superman up here. We have 2 different versions, 2 different covers. Obviously, one's more beat up than the other one, so the beat up one should obviously be worth a little bit less than the main one. But certain issues, certain comics back in the day, you're not able to really tell that from time to time. Like, especially once you get into some reprints, stuff like that. If you're not a trained eye, you might not...
everybody, like I was going to say, pretty much any big convention, you have TCG there.
Yeah, which I believe TCG is one of the best.
Is it TCG that does the grading?
Yeah.
I might be wrong right now.
I believe they do a great job at it, but like I said, like when it comes to books and cards, I think that they are great. If it comes to something like action figures, it's a way harder market to tell on certain figures and stuff. Especially when you start getting into prototypes and stuff like that. Like sometimes a prototype can be literally a figure like this, just repainted. How can you tell that that's the official prototype or not? Especially at that point, all somebody has to do is hand paint a new, same kind of figure. There you go. Now you've got two in the market. One's legit, one's fake, but you got somebody pretending, that they're both legit, and they're made kind of the same way. So how are you? It's a lot harder to me with action figures.
It's harder for them to do it, but
once again, with books and stuff, I highly recommend it sometimes. But even then, know what you're paying for at times, because a lot of people.
Not every comic's worth grading. For a reason I say that is, I went on Amazon and I bought $15 for a Deadpool graded comic. It wasn't any special issue. It was graded 9.8, I believe. I just wanted it for a collection, but I'm looking. You go to CGC's website, and it can cost like $75 to get it graded. So whoever paid for that lost a lot of money. There was no autograph or anything. The books I would get autographed, like when Stanley was still alive, get that autograph, get graded right then there, sealed, you're good to go.
And
special like that.
One of the things that Bruce wound up bringing up in our chat about this, that the question he had asked, was we have all seen and we have all heard about Walking Dead issue #1 fetching for thousands of dollars in today's market. Well, what everybody didn't understand about that was issue #1, first pressing of issue #1. That issue only had a good couple hundred issues, maybe even a good couple thousand of issue #1 made. Thus, the likelihood of you getting a first issue, first pressing of it, a lot less likely than somebody else. Heck, for Free Comic Book Day one year, they wound up giving away issue #1 of The Walking Dead. That version is worth $2, but the original version, the first printing...
Because it's a different...
Because it's that first pressing. And sometimes that's what's going to make a thing popular and worth money. Look, 2 weeks before the Walking Dead TV show hit, those books were going for like $25, $50.
Yeah.
The moment the TV show hit and it skyrocketed in popularity and the more people got into it, the more the book started going up in price, because that became, and this is whether it's toys, cards, comics, whatever you're into collecting, it's a buyer's market essentially.
Yeah.
So if you're buying something, it's going to be based off of the price you're willing to pay for something, because the price I'm willing to pay might not be the price Michael's willing to pay. But if I pay $500 for a particular book that he was only willing to spend $100 on, well, the value just skyrocketed to $500 because somebody was willing to spend the money on it. This is why a lot of those first issues of certain characters that we talk about in our character spotlight sometimes, this is the reason why they go up in price. This is why they are so much money, because a lot of times it's more so the rarity of how you can get these comics, how many that were made pressed, and how much of a demand there is for people who want them at times. I mean...
The demand is important for a lot of it.
And for a very perfect example of this, I'm not sure how you feel about this. We're going to use some harsh language on the show, so please earmuff your kid for like 5 minutes. But for me personally, I'm a big fan of the movie Kick-Ass 1 and 2. I love the Kick-Ass series. Thought the books were amazing. But issue #1 is only going for like $200, $300. Came out the same time as The Walking Dead, roughly. Why is Walking Dead worth more than Kick-Ass? Simple enough. Kick-Ass doesn't have the big fan base that Walking Dead has. Walking Dead's seen by millions of people each and every week on the AMC TV show. Kick-Ass, not so much. It was a rated R film that came out into theaters that's not really being able to be cut for like TV and stuff like that. So you're not going to have as many people into it, and thus the book is not going to be worth as much money. However, if you have a graded version, which you've now spent the $75 on top of the book itself and what its price is, that's where the price now skyrockets a little bit more, because it comes down to, well, mine can never see the light of day. Yours can be handled and fondled by anybody. Who are you going to go for? Sometimes you go for that, graded one.
I like collecting a lot of books, so if I can get a graded one, I'll do it. Just put it up as a display piece. Yeah, I'll never be able to read it, but It's the price I pay.
Not me. Me, myself. I collect everything loose. I'm very much a loose collector in almost everything I collect because a lot of the times the value to me is what I've paid for it. I'm not necessarily looking at the secondary market because I'm not necessarily looking to sell to the secondary market later on down the line. Whatever I'm buying is what I want and whatever is going to be added to my collection, and I'll be happy with it. However, if you're out there and you are trying to buy for, value or a collection for something like that, honestly, the best thing you can do is kind of look at what's hot. Look at what is maybe becoming hot, on the verge of becoming hot. Like to me,
pops are a big thing right now. They're hot, but you gotta be careful which ones you're going after.
Yeah.
Not every pop's gonna be worth money.
Yeah.
The best ones are anything New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con.
Even then, sometimes you might luck out because I picked up Rocksteady from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line because I collect Rocksteady toys, just Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles, and that figure itself wound up jumping up in price because all those Ninja Turtle figures, they just flew off the shelf and they didn't make so many pressings of them.
Jumped up in price. So right now, Dr. Pepper is throwing a special. If you buy 3 20-ounce bottles of Dr. Pepper, you mail the cap or whatever it is, you get free some kind of Dr. Pepper pop. Yeah, right now, free. Don't pay anything. People are selling it on eBay and are selling for $100 quickly on eBay. Like, it's free. Just go spend what, $3, $5 probably, $6.
Yeah, on
buy the sodas. If you don't drink soda, fine, dump it out. Just take the wrapper and go cash it in.
But yeah, if you're a collector and you're trying to get in now and you're trying to go for money, you're trying to go for value, sometimes looking at some of these graded comics, these autographed comics, and some of these issues that people already have a built-in following for, or you may see the build-up following coming from down the line.
But do your homework before you start buying.
Yes, definitely.
Know what you want to get. Do your homework. Go to comic shops because a lot of comic shops will sell the graded ones and talk to them and see how the prices are going up and down and see which ones they recommend.
Of course, there's a Beckett out there. There's always a price guide. There's always something to keep yourself in tune with the comic book world. Now, speaking of the comic book world, we've had 2 weeks now of brand new comic book days because every Wednesday is new comic book day. So tomorrow's new comic book day. I'm ready. I'm excited. But we got to talk about the past 2 weeks of comic books that we've been reading.
For me, it's only going to be 1 week. I was so busy this past weekend, and this week I couldn't get out anywhere to buy anything.
Not me. I always make sure I get at least my reading in because I do a lot of my reading of books online and stuff, so it's still easier for me to catch up on stories. But the first thing out the gate, I found this little bad boy while I was out in shopping, and I had to pick it up. Roger Rabbit comic book. I did not know this even existed. I picked it up for $3, and ladies and gentlemen, it was a great little read. It was a fun little read. Did not know there were Roger Rabbit comics, and as soon as I seen it for $3, I had to pick it up. There was no way I was going to. This thing ran for 18 issues, all the way from June 1990 all the way to November 1991. 18 full issues of Roger Rabbit. I'm now on the hunt. Like, I've got 6. I need to find the other 17 issues of Roger Rabbit that are out there, just so I can have them for my own personal collection.
So, I picked up for one really lame reason, Flash number 87.
And that's that cover.
Yeah, that's the cover of that one. So the Rogues are going haywire in Central City. Flash goes into Time Force. He comes back out. He's still moving really fast. They can't figure out a way to stop him. They finally find a gun, shoot him with it. He stops. But the joke in the comic was if you kept going in the Speed Force that long, you would went Super Saiyan.
No, there you go. So
it kind of added Dragon Ball Z.
So just because they made a DBZ reference, you were like,
that's
I have
the reason
to buy
I had
it.
to buy it. The DBZ reference, right?
Hey,
there. I'm like, okay.
I bought a lot more weirder comics than that.
Just for that reference.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Have we not been discussing each and every issue about me and these Descendants comics that I'm still on the hunt for? So I can understand a little bit. Now, here's a book that we both happened to pick up. We were both into this one as soon as we saw the title. It was an equal kind of footing here.
I think we both got a couple of these that are on the list.
Yeah, I've been especially enjoying these. But first, we're going to talk about Deadpool, The End. And we have covered Venom, The End on this show as well. This is the cover I wound up seeing and reading off of.
So you got the original cover.
Yep, this is cover number 1. This is cover number 2.
The variant. That's the one I picked up right there.
And there you see his girlfriend, Death, hanging out in the little boat as they head into the sunset. This is the issue that shows you theoretically how Deadpool would die in the Marvel universe. And what I loved about this book is he doesn't die. There's like 5 different stories of how you can kill Deadpool off. And then the final panel is what appears to be either the writer or Deadpool in like a janitorial mask after they built up this wall. And it says on the wall in spray paint, break in case of writer's block, which was a great way of, you know, having them be like, hey, we can do these anyway. And I think it was by far, next to Venom The End, by far one of the best The End books that they have put out so far, just because of the way they handled this particular story of showing Deadpool like could literally go so many different ways, including fighting his own daughter to the very end.
Yeah. Then next one, I don't know which one this is, I'm grabbing right away. Ninja Turtles #2 with the Power Rangers.
Which we have.
You read that one too.
We've covered this one on our very first episode, our very first issue of Comic Book 101. And there you see issue #2. It's actually a brand new week for comic books, and issue #3 happened to come out, and you best believe
I'm buying that one.
You gotta buy issue #3. There's the cover. Michael, I had told you how amazing that cover was. There's the Rangers, there's the Turtles, and then in the background, Green Ranger Shredder with Bebop and Rocksteady. The only thing that would make it better if it was a Green Ranger Super Shredder, because he would be too sweet. That's right. Super Shredder.
Yeah, okay.
Too sweet.
So I'm hoping MegaCon, somebody cosplays
this
Green Ranger Shredder.
As good as I was saying this book was from issue #2, where he got the power coin, it continues on in issue #3. It is an amazing read. By this point in the story, the bad guys, the heels, are up top. Like, Shredder is just wrecking both the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers. Has made it so the Power Rangers can't morph. So he's the only one with an actual working power coin and everything. We've yet to get to a big Zord fight or anything like that. But it is hinted to at the last issue of #3, the last page, that the Ninja Turtles are going to be morphing in the next issue, in issue #4. It's a 5-part issue, and Michelangelo asks, do they get to pick their colors? Because there is no orange one, so you got to kind of wonder. But they brought in Casey Jones and April O'Neil, so April will most likely be pink. I can see Mikey bending up the Yellow Ranger. I really can.
Oh, that's going to be hilarious.
So, yes, highly recommended by Comic Book 101. Please head out, check out the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 3 issues out right now of a 5-issue series. Still 2 more months to go before it's finished. And by howdy, what a great read this one has been.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm just excited to get all of them. So, next one, Captain America, Hawkeye, The Thing, Wolverine. Years ago, Cletus Cassidy used Carnage, a symbiote, to take over a town called Doverton in Colorado. The Avengers stop him. Now he's back to
finish out some business.
Yeah, he uses symbiotes to take over the town. So this one's Absolute Carnage Avengers this time. And just that artwork on that one's amazing.
Oh, yeah, that is actually pretty dope. I like that a lot.
So I'm trying to slowly get all the Absolute Carnage for that whole series.
And of course, you're collecting a lot of these single issues, a lot of these. Where in a few months they're going to all be collected in trade paperback, graphic novel form. But once again, we've kind of discussed this on this show before. Some people really do enjoy collecting single issues when they can, and like having that version of it as opposed to the full-on version.
Plus, I like getting the single issues, going to the comic conventions, getting each one autographed by whoever I can get done.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Sometimes that's.
And just makes
a great way to, even then, we were just talking about a way to build investment into your comics. That's a perfect way to build investment into your comics, because you're taking a normal comic. Like, I've got a free comic book day G.I. Joe that was written by Chuck Dixon that I have autographed by Chuck. Didn't realize it because it was many, many years ago type thing. But now it just sits in my collection collecting dust right now in a plastic and board and all that stuff. Because please, board and bag your comics. That is always a must. If you can, it's relatively cheap. Do that.
Yancey Street, all their comics already come bagged and boarded. I know some other comic
Except for
shops,
some of their dollar comics,
Yeah, the
because
dollar
you'll
ones,
run
yeah,
that
that's
one.
different,
But even
but-
then, running through and buying a set of bags and boards is not that much
Some
money.
comic shops will sell a bag and board for like $1 or 50 cents, so it's definitely worth spending that money for that.
So I wound up continuing on with a lot of these stories from the end that came out last week. I did Doctor Strange the End and Captain Marvel the End. First, Doctor Strange the End deals with the Sorcerer Supreme becoming the last living sorcerer, last magical person in the entire Marvel universe till he dies. And then he uses his power, uses his spirit to enable one more person to gain all that knowledge, all that power, and it follows them at the end and picks them up. And through a lot of the issue is him talking to Wong, his little partner in crime,
number one.
who's passed away. He's in this big giant chest, and he can still hear him talk and stuff. And at the end of the issue, you find out that it's been switched now. Doctor Strange is in the cabinet, and this woman now has to hear him talking through the cabinet the whole time. So he's gone, but not truly forgotten. Then the next one I read was Captain Marvel the End, and then this one was really cool because all of the Avengers get wiped out by nuclear war and stuff like that.
I was going to pick that one up last week.
And then in the end, it takes Captain Marvel reigniting our star, our sun, in order to save the entire world. And that was another pretty good story that I happened to read over the past couple of weeks. Did you happen to check out any of these?
No. This week, like I said, I was super busy.
Like I said, I've been getting drawn into a lot of these The End comic books majorly because of how they're kind of portraying. Like I said,
plus they're one-shot comic series. You don't have to worry about collecting the whole series. Just go
buy the one issue and you're good and done.
15 minutes reading, done.
Then another one of the things that I picked up was Spider-Ham issues number 1 and 2. I love me some Spider-Ham. Peter Porker. Another short series is going to be about 5 comics I've read.
Are they going to end it where he becomes bacon at the end?
No. If you know anything about Spider-Ham, the entire universe he comes from, they're all anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
So some of the funniest things in this book is the Green Gobbler. So it's the Green Goblin as a turkey. And then the Hobgobbler, which is the Hobgoblin as a turkey. Dr. Octopus is a catfish.
Oh, he's a catfish. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of great ones in there. A lot of great humor in this. This one's a little bit for more of the younger audience because I like to say sometimes reading some of these comics for littler kids are really worth it, and I highly recommend Spider-Ham if you've got little kids. Even if you saw Into the Spider-Verse, it's Spider-Ham in there. It's just continuation of that. It's just really great. Now, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out this past Wednesday. Another book that happened to come out this past Wednesday in our little break period was Immortal Hulk, Great Power. And this was an amazing story because we're going to talk about the Hulk in our character spotlight. Spider-Man gets the power of the Hulk from Bruce Banner. Bruce doesn't have the power of the Hulk anymore. You find out Loki is actually involved with this one. The Hulk eventually has to steal back his power and stuff, but there's a lot of great stuff in this issue. Anytime I've seen Spider-Man as the Hulk, they've done this numerous times in the past. Always a great read, seeing the two characters kind of get amalgamated into one character and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. So I highly recommend any of those books. Then I got to talk about this one. Even though we're going to be strapped for time on this show, I have to talk about the Previews magazine. This just came out last week for the month of February. And what makes this magazine so amazing, ladies and gentlemen, is as you see me thumb through it, it has every single book that is coming out in the month of April, as well as you can see by that full-on shot, some of the things you can expect from Free Comic Book Day this year. And we always say we're like a comic book shop. Come to your home. There at the back, you always hear us talk about action figures and collectibles. There you see, you can even pre-order some of the child action figures, the Asset himself, from your local comic book shops. They sell this magazine for about $3-4, that fat of a magazine, and you can go through it to order. It has a nice little order form page in here, and you can literally order any of the comic books you see in there, any of the collectibles, and have them
Delivered to your
Delivered,
house.
not even to your house, to your local comic book shop. So when you go to pick up your new comics of the week, there they already are waiting for you. You ordered them out months at a time. They also have these that come with them that are strictly for Marvel, and one that is strictly for DC. Like, I found out about this that's coming out, the 80th anniversary of the Joker. They're going to be celebrating with a 100-page super special edition in the month of April. And here we are finding out it now in the month of February, thanks to the Previews magazine. I highly recommend this. I've purchased a lot of different things through Previews throughout the years, had them all delivered to my local shop. Highly recommend them. I know you've dealt with them some in the past. They are 100% CB 101, Comic Book 101 TV approved. You've got the thumb. Hold on, let me. There we go. The Kylo Ren thumbs up. You know, really, we highly recommend them. $4 at your local comic book shop. The Marvel and the DC ones that are added to it are free. And then they also happen to have this one still at the shop that I went to. This is the November edition, which tells you everything that's coming out this month.
Yeah.
And last month.
Cover, Wonder Woman 750.
And there we were just talking about it last week. We discovered it last week. Previews will give you interest and insight to a lot of these things that are coming out in the next few months, well enough in advance for you to get excited, get your pre-orders in, or just put your money aside so you can buy it at a later date. I highly recommend previews. You'll probably hear us talk about it each and every month now.
Every month we'll have it on the table.
Every month we're going to have some version of it because, once again, for the price you're paying and everything that's inside, it is well worth it. Over 220 pages inside the main previews book itself, plus the two other books, the Marvel and the DC. Yeah. You cannot go wrong with the previews. Now, moving right along, because not only do we buy comic books each and every week, ladies and gentlemen, we buy toys. Love our toys, love our action figures. And the first thing we're going to start off with is this little guy right here, my little buddy. Rob, if you wouldn't mind showing him.
I saw that, and I just wanted to take that home with me.
Yeah, he was at the Dollar Tree.
Really?
That is a dollar toy, ladies and gentlemen. Grimlock, the strongest transformer there is. He does not transform. It's a little figurine. But for $1, you can't go wrong. I mean, they've got Soundwave, Megatron, Starscream, Bumblebee.
G1 Soundwave?
All G1 figures. Well, G1-esque, because as you can see, Grimlock is G1-esque. The little advertisement here, you can go ahead and check it out. That's all 6 figures that come with it and stuff. So well worth it. It was $1. It was at the Dollar Tree, where everything is $1. They also have comic books at the dollar store now. They have Disney Princess. They have Frozen, Mickey Mouse, as well as one other one.
Dollar Tree after the show.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Like, did you know they started selling comic books at the Dollar Tree? So now you can pick up certain comic books at the Dollar Tree. I was also at Ollie's this past week, and they had a bunch of the Star Wars graphic novels for $3, which are normally $15 graphic novels. I'm talking Darth Vader, Poe Dameron, the Solo, one of the Solo ones, the Lando Calrissian one. Whole bunch of those over at Ollie's. They always have a bunch of comic books at Ollie's for cheap. There's another spot you can go to get some cheap comic books if you're trying to get into the hobby, trying to get into just reading some stories. There's a perfect way to do it. However, that wasn't the only thing I purchased, because of course I purchased this little Grimlock, because how could you not? I mean, for $1, I had to. It was worth it, and I had to see if he transformed. He didn't, but it's still a dope thing. The other thing I purchased was this nice little guy. It is Scott Hall. That's right, Razor Ramon himself. But from when he was an outsider, back with the New World Order. Yep, this figure, too sweet right there. It was made by the original San Francisco toy makers back in 1998. This is 4.5 scale because, of course, they had the 6.5 scale of figures, which were the vibrating ones. Yeah. If you remember, you push the little button on the side and it like vibrated, and you hold the two figures together, and it made your mom's night come true. Like, hey, I don't know about your mom, or my mom, or somebody's mom out there definitely enjoyed those vibrating action figures a little bit.
He left it in the living room and he's in
bed.
But
these are the 4.5 scale one. These actually have points of articulation on them. They're able to do a little bit more, and I had to pick up this particular one. They had Hogan, they had Nash available as well, so I might have to find a way to go back down to the shop to pick this up. But I'm gonna have to open this bad boy.
Yeah,
it's our new figure of the week that I'm purchasing, and look at how quick and easy that one was. I keep throwing them this way. Like, I always throw my...
You gotta be careful, there's lights back there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start doing it that way, start throwing them there. But there you go. There's Scott Hall himself in action figure form. Now, the company that made this particular figure also made the original San Francisco toy makers who we were talking about, made the ECW line of figures in around shortly after this one, about 99, 2000, which I opened the Taz on Comic Book 101. And one of the things I meant to bring my Taz figure here, but the Scott Hall, the WCW NWO line from original San Francisco toy makers in 98, the 4.5 scale, is about 1 inch to 2 inches smaller than the ECW figures. Like, I had purchased this guy hoping that they would kind of be in scale and fit with each other, but sadly they're not. But still really awesome to have. They have, once again, the Nash here, or the Hall here. They've got Nash, they've got Hogan, they've got Goldberg. There's only about 11 figures and a ring for the 4.5 scale of original San Francisco toy makers, WCW NWO figures. I'm on the hunt now. Once again, I'm on the hunt for like a lot of things, but definitely some of these figures.
Sci-Fi Bartow.
I might have to see some of them.
We may have to get someone to take a camera while we go around shopping for toys for the show.
On your budget.
Not my budget.
On somebody's budget. But that is one of my favorite things to do each and every week. I'm a huge toy figure collector. I'm always collecting new figures each and every week. Hence the Grimlock, hence the Scott Hall. But enough about me and my toy collecting days, because I got a bunch of others for next week. You, sir, have our cosplay of the week.
So, cosplayer of the week is Dragon's Keep Cosplay. What got her started in cosplay, she always looked up to her older sister, which cosplayed, and she wanted to be like her. Her favorite cosplay so far has been Query from the Riddler, and right there is her character called Minx. It's one of the Metrocon mascots, and she loves doing Spider-Gwen as well. Her next cosplays, there's her Spider-Gwen now, and she actually made that outfit. Her next cosplay, she's going to be doing Lydia from Beetlejuice, and Elsa and Aiden from Frozen. And her favorite, that's her next one. Her favorite ones is Spider-Gwen, and I'm not sure Catsko, she said, because of her sister, and she thought it was a lot of fun. But go ahead, check her Instagram out. She's on Instagram.
At Dragons Keep Cosplay.
And on TikTok. I don't think she has a Facebook page, though.
But definitely you want to check her out at Dragons Keep Cosplay on Instagram if you want to see some more of her amazing cosplay photos. And I saw with the little watermark there that our good friend over at Cosplay in Tampa Bay had done a few of them.
Yeah,
so
she's a good friend.
If you are a cosplayer in the Tampa Bay community and you are looking to do a photo shoot, please
definitely hit me up.
Hit up my good friend Michael Stanley.
And there's her steam-powered giraffe right there. Great band right there.
He is a great photographer. I believe we are trying to work something out, maybe get me some new photos sometime here soon so I can get some new 8x10s.
Are they going to be like the Shawn Michael photos?
If you want, we can.
No, we're not.
I will gladly do that one. Maybe look forward to that one in the coming weeks, ladies and gentlemen. It won't be safe.
That's a fun story from him, because he thought that was a girls' magazine. He didn't know it was built for guys.
Technically, it is a girls' magazine, but it has more of a male readership than a woman readership. Look, there are certain things that are made for a certain demographic, but other people get into it. Look at My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Made for little girls and little kids.
A lot of bronies.
And there are a lot of dudes who are highly into that. So necessarily, sometimes it's not something that's made, you never know who's going to enjoy it. Like this show here. But it's now time. We've made it all the way to this point. I'm excited. You're excited. Hulk catchphrase.
Hulk smash.
I thought it was Hulk catchphrase.
Hulk catchphrase?
Yeah.
Hulk smash.
That's his. Oh, I thought he always changed it out. So we just hit the catchphrase. Well, dang it, I messed that up again.
Where's your Hulk hand?
Dude, I wish we did. I looked a little bit for those, and if you remember, they were there everywhere. If you haven't been able to tell, our official character spotlight this week is on the immortal, indestructible, the incredible one himself, the Hulk.
So it's made it interesting because we've seen so many versions of the Hulk. Not only Green Hulk, but you've had Red Hulk, you've had Gray Hulk.
You've had one of my personal favorites, the good and wonderful She-Hulk. I love me some She-Hulk, not just for the way she looks, but the comics are always amazing because they, very much like a Deadpool, they tend to break the fourth wall from time to time, a lot of inside jokes, so I highly recommend some of those She-Hulk things. However, we're talking the first Hulk. the one and only Hulk, the Bruce Banner Hulk. And of course, he had his first appearance all the way back in May 1962 as he was created by Stanley and Jack Kirby. And what an amazing issue. Of course, in the very first issue of the Hulk, he was gray.
Yeah.
He would eventually later don the gray attire when he became a gangster and stuff like that, because they've played around with a lot of different things with the Hulk. One of the things being that he kind of has multiple personality disorder amongst the different versions of the Hulk inside of him, because there's Professor Hulk, there's the Gray Hulk, there's Green Hulk.
And depending what version of Hulk you've been reading, some Hulks, the angrier he gets, the bigger he gets.
Yep. And then there's the whole fact that if you remove Bruce Banner from the Hulk, you just get the Hulk, and we'll cover this in a little bit about how destructive that can be. But one of the things that I got to talk about, one of my favorite issues and favorite things dealing with the Hulk, is the times he's fought Wolverine. Of course, there's been the Ultimates version fight where he ripped Wolverine in half and threw him across an entire mountain. But the very first time that Wolverine ever made an appearance in any comic book was issue number 180 of Incredible Hulk. And then the first official fight happened in 181 of the Incredible Hulk. There you see it. And the Wolverine versus the Hulk. And what an amazing battle.
Did they fight?
They have had constant battles throughout the entire history of the two characters. Usually, sometimes it's based off of
a bigger ego.
Not even just the ego thing like that. Because you have to mind you, the Hulk as a character, the one thing that is always drawn people to him is the fact that he's a loner, he's an outsider, he's always on the edge of society. Wolverine tends to work for the government. And when you need somebody taken out, why not send in Wolverine? You know, perfect person to send in. He can't be destroyed. It's literally the immovable object versus an irresistible force. Like, they're always going to be at war with each other, and we see that with the Hulk and Wolverine anytime they fought, whether it is in issue 181, the Ultimate series, some of the other things that are out there. It's always a great fight between the two. Another great issue of books that you can go and check out is the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk series. Planet Hulk, the Hulk gets shot off into space into another planet named Sakaar, and he winds up becoming a gladiator, then king of the world.
Which we've kind of seen a hint of this with the Thor movie, Ragnarok.
Yes, we did. They took a lot of liberties from the Planet Hulk comic and adapted it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the Thor Ragnarok movie. But they also adapted certain parts of it for an animated movie as well. But the thing that they haven't touched upon is World War Hulk, where the Hulk returns after the vessel they shot him to Sakaar with. He marries. He has a kid while on Planet Hulk of Sakaar, and that kills half the planet. His own spaceship gets destroyed, so he determines that anybody a part of the Illuminati, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt of the Inhumans, Namor, and the whole gang of them, that they are now the enemy, and he has to go and attack them, and he brings a war all the way to Earth. And it was a great story. You found a little backstabbery, a little things here and there where people started screwing over the Hulk, and you kind of seen why the Hulk reacts sometimes the way he reacts. So then continuing on, one of the last great team-ups and last great fights, because you can't talk about the Hulk without talking about the Thing, the man from Yancey Street himself. Very much
giant people.
And the one thing that I loved, we're talking about specifically Hard Knocks. It was a 4-issue comic book series that featured the Hulk versus the Thing.
Him.
Oh my, Michael, when I tell you this is an amazing Thing/Hulk comic book, the entire book, Rob says he thinks he's Mike Tyson, meaning the Thing does. But the thing that made this book so amazing and so interesting to me, it starts off Bruce Banner's in a bar, and then the Thing shows up, wanting to have a conversation about life. But he doesn't want to have the conversation with Bruce Banner. So instead, he punches Banner because he wants to talk to the other guy. And anytime the Hulk turns back into Bruce Banner, Thing hits him to turn him back into the Hulk. This starts bringing up some animosity between the two because you can only hit Bruce Banner so many times before the Hulk has to react. So the Hulk eventually reacts. They have a nice little fight. There's a whole bunch of things in this book that I highly rate. That's funny, topical, really great read. Hulk versus Thing or Hulk Thing, Hard Knocks. Great story, 4 issues, a little bit harder to come by because of the time and place that it was made in, but an amazing story by Bruce Jones and Jay Lee. I can't recommend the story more than enough.
Graphic novel of that one?
I believe there is a graphic novel that you can go out there and pick up. And like I said, I highly recommend it. There are a bunch of other great Hulk stories. You can usually find them in the Avengers. You can find him on his own. As we heard earlier, sometimes he becomes Spider-Man. Sometimes there's an entire planet of Hulk. Sometimes there's, like in Old Man Logan, where he becomes old and he becomes the only living guy in history. A lot of great things with the Hulk. But we're going to move on to now
the live versions.
The live action versions, the film and animation versions.
So the first time we see a live action Hulk was in 1977 through 1982. It wasn't Bruce Banner, though. It was David Banner. He went by and played that. Bill Bixby played him. Then weightlifter Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk.
And of course, we would see Lou Ferrigno return many times to not only the Hulk character, but the Hulk franchise, because we would see him in The Incredible Hulk, in the Ang Lee's Hulk, and a few other things here and there.
Do a cameo, and he's also voiced a Hulk in the movies, too. Then we've had the next time we saw Hulk after the show was canceled.
Would be The Trial.
Incredible Hulk Returns first.
Oh.
Was the first time.
Yep.
And that was when Thor came, and Thor...
They were trying to pitch a Thor TV show and
so
use the Hulk to get it off, but it didn't happen.
It was weird because the human could transform into Thor anytime.
Which is based off of the original version of Thor. Not so much the newer version we're kind of gotten used to with Chris Hemsworth.
Which was Don Blake was the character. Then
where he had a stick that he would tap, and it would turn into Mjolnir, and then he would turn into Thor and stuff.
The next time we see him after that was in '89, Trial of Incredible Hulk, which is the first time we have a cameo with Stan Lee. You see him in the jury for that one, and there's the photo. So first official Stan Lee cameo. This one, Banner gets called to be a witness on the stand and against Kingpin, and Banner gets blamed for some stuff. So who's to rescue him?
The one and only Daredevil, the blind lawyer himself, because justice is blind,
so
and so isn't your hero.
Up. So I remembered when these came out, I was so happy watching them on TV. They made me happy anytime they would show them. Then after that was the death of Incredible Hulk in 1990. Bruce wants to just get rid of him, die, and doesn't happen.
And we see a lot of themes from this TV show carry over into the comic books and other films and cartoons, where a lot of that, the Hulk is a loner. He just wants to be left alone. He's not really trying to hurt anybody.
You have this thing inside you. Anytime you get pissed off, you're going to change into him, so you have to be alone, because anytime you're in society nowadays, something's going to piss you off.
Exactly. Then we move on to 2003, where director Ang Lee would create his version of the Hulk. Now, some people
Eric Bana, Jennifer Connelly, Sam Elliott.
Some people consider this part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Others do not.
It's not.
It's very loosely.
It's the next one I would believe.
The next one definitely would. To me, though, this one can set up a little bit of... This is the origin story, if you will.
They were trying to redo it, and it was just horrible. Just Nick Nolte being his father in this one, and those rabid dogs that had the Hulk serum in them. Just was not the best movie.
But even then, as we've discussed before, sometimes some people will create their own versions of things because they can. Then we move on to 2008 with The Incredible Hulk, which had one and only Edward Norton in it.
And Liv Tyler, Tim Roth. Director was Louis Letnier.
And that was an interesting movie. I found that one to be pretty decent. Wasn't big on Norton's Hulk, but I thought it was pretty good. Tim Roth as the Abomination was just downright amazing.
Well, Norton also co-wrote it, too. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of issues with Norton as he tried to maneuver his way around this film to get it the way he wanted to, but Marvel very much was in the process of building the universe. This was the first time we
see the... Well, not official first time, but it was the first time for the Hulk movies you get the after-scene credit.
Yes, and that had Tony Stark in it, where he talks about the Avengers Initiative that was first hinted upon in Iron Man 1,
Yes.
which comes out slightly before this Incredible Hulk film. Then the next time we would see the Hulk is
2012 Avengers.
Is in the Avengers
Mark
films.
Ruffalo playing him.
Which was a new change to the character. I love his version of the Hulk. I love Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. I thought through the Avengers, Age of Ultron, and like through pretty much everything that he's been a part of till current day, whether it was Endgame, whether it was Captain Marvel, whether it was Infinity War, all of it was really good. I loved him in Endgame where it became Professor Hulk.
Yeah, we have a photo of that coming up sometime.
I am more of a fan of Professor Hulk than I am of any other version of the Hulk. My wife also likes the more intellectual Hulk, which brings me to some of the cartoons and stuff that are out there. First and foremost that I got to bring up is the Hulk versus series. Hulk versus Thor, Hulk versus Wolverine.
Great
you
animated
see two
ones right there.
huge fights, 2 different discs, 1 amazing Blu-ray, and humongous fight scenes in that movie. We also have the Marvel Superhero Squad, which is more for little kids. There you see the Hulk getting the key of the city by Stanley himself is the mayor of Superhero Squad. A great show, more for little kids, under the 5 years old age, I would say, but another great animated series. Then, when you get to the Disney side of things after they had purchased Marvel, you've got Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Avengers Assemble, which another set of really amazing cartoons that featured these characters, and they built another universe, not only the cinematic one that we see in the films, but an animated one as well, that connected all the way from Avengers to Avengers Assemble to Ultimate Spider-Man, all the way down to Hulk Agents of Smash, and this is by far my wife's favorite version of the character because it's a smart Hulk. The Hulk is straight in charge. There is no Bruce Banner, and he's flanked by his son Scar, the Red Hulk, General Thunderbolt Ross, She-Hulk, and the Atom, I believe is the other character's
And there
name.
was another one, the Young Avengers, where the kids.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. They find old David Banner in there, or old Bruce Banner.
And then he winds up trying to teach them the ways of being a hero and everything like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please go out to your local comic book shop. Please buy your graphic novels. You can buy any of the Hulk comics we have talked about today, any of the movies, any of the books you see on the table or we've discussed today. Always visit your local comic book shop, Amazon, wherever you get your great comics
You'll
from.
see us at Sci-Fi Bartow this weekend, so we have a big booth. Come by, say hi.
And then, of course, you can check him out at Cosplay in Tampa Bay. Check us out at Comic Book 101 TV on Instagram and Facebook. You can catch me February 21st at IPW's great event over at the Hardy County Fair. And then WrestleMania weekend, Kaiju Big Battle returns for 2 amazing shows down here for the WrestleMania weekend. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I've been the Princess of Weird, Josh Johnson.
And Michael Stanley, Cosplay in Tampa Bay.
Thank you for joining us here. We'll see you next week.